Let's take a watch, shall we?
Okay, it was the weekend and a lot has happened since Friday, so let's recap. You know who was airlifted to
Just want to clarify, I haven't watched any of these. We're just watching them together, okay?
Walter Reed Medical Center for COVID treatment. His army of doctors spent the weekend giving a very positive outlook, while his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, said such things were more serious than you know. And then you know who posted this message from the hospital yesterday. Take a look.
Wait. It took several seconds for me to take this in. I don't regularly watch The View, okay? But is she wearing a Snuggie, and B, it looks like she kind of just woke up? Like, is she physically in a studio? Also, the baby Yoda is really throwing me here, and I really can't tell, but I desperately want to know what is on its head. It's like some sort of demon cat from Persona. Is that... I don't know, okay? I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Okay. Anyway,
it's
continue.
Been a very interesting journey. I learned a lot about COVID. I learned it by really going to school. This is the real school. This isn't the let's read the book school. And I get it, and I understand it, and it's a very interesting thing, and I'm going to be letting you know about it.
Yeah, and so...
Is there a reason he hasn't been wearing a tie in the last several of his videos? I would wager a guess that it has to do with the fact that he is still in a precarious state where they need to have easy access to his breathing ways. Okay? That is what I would hazard a guess.
So right after that, he broke quarantine to jump in an SUV for a drive-by photo op. And, you know, so the doctors say, no, he's really sick, then he isn't really sick, and then he's getting really sick. You know, let's not kid ourselves. He's the head of the free world, so he's, whatever they're giving him to pump him up and make him look like he ain't sick. So does this seem like he's a changed man to you, Joy? Does he get it now?
Well, when I'm watching that the parade yesterday with him in the car, that was right out of a dictator's playbook, you know? Parade the dictator around so that the world and the country can see that he's still alive and he's still robust. But, you know, I thought to myself, usually the hostages are not driving the car. The thing about getting it, he suddenly gets it now. Now that I get it, there's the coronavirus, it's not a hoax anymore. That's what he learned. He didn't learn that 200,000 people and counting have died from this. Do you know that they're projecting 1 out of 10 in the world will have the coronavirus? That comes to, I figured the whole thing out, about 750 million people will get it. In the Spanish flu, right, 500 million people got it because this population was lower in those days. You know, but here's
right,
the good news I wanted to say. The fact that he has the virus.
More like the great dictator. True, every wall will fall. True.
Prevents other people from getting it now because he's in quarantine and he won't be spreading it all over the place at his rallies to his supporters who believe him and don't wear masks. So that's the good part of this.
Right. So do you think this was his attempt to...
Wait, are these all the ladies from The View? Okay, I guess I haven't watched for a while, but I don't recognize these three people at all. I know these two.
Was his attempt to assure the public that he's okay, Sonny?
Well, I do think it was his way of trying to assure the public that he is okay, and I think that's, of course, very important for a president to do. Because it is a matter of national security, right? But I don't think that's the way to do it. You don't reassure the public by signing, I don't know, a empty sheet of paper with a Sharpie and pretend that you're working on nothing. And I also don't think the way to do it is to, as Joy mentioned, drive in a motorcade with Secret Service agents in a hermetically sealed vehicle. Because remember, those vehicles are sealed to prevent a chemical attack from attacking the
Chemical.
president. So that means it seals the, yes, a chemical attack. So that means it seals the virus inside. So he is infectious. And those Secret Service agents, then, their lives were put at risk by this president. They have families that they want to go home to as well. So what that told me was, by his reckless actions, he didn't care about the very people who are sworn to protect him. So that is not...
Why? I guess I'm still baffled by this idea that he would care. Like, all of his actions his entire life have indicated he does not care. Trump could give less of a shit if you're alive or not. Or if you live or die by his actions. He doesn't care. So I don't understand this kind of like bafflement, other than like either people haven't been paying attention or just they view it more as theater, and like they can't wrap their head around these ideas until they see them in practice, because like to them, like the real world is a completely different place from the political world, you know, where someone is up on a podium and giving a speech or answering questions from reporters. That's a different world compared to the real world, and seeing those two worlds collide in a very jarring way like this is so shocking that they can't view it as real until they see it. Sorry, until they have that shock.
Not reassuring to me. If he doesn't care about those people, does he care about the rest of the country? So that was a really just terrible act of negligence.
Wait. Did it not tip you off that he doesn't give a shit when he like gassed protesters, peaceful protesters, and gassed an entire church, and then basically stole its Bible for a photo op in the middle of the protests, later being condemned by the clergy at that church. Like, I don't know what. Basically, any of his actions should have told you that this was the case.
And trying to assure the country.
Right. So, Sarah, what did you make of the motorcade?
I thought the motorcade was irresponsible and extremely selfish. We've had very clear guidelines that when you've been exposed yourself to you have the virus, you isolate. When you've been exposed to the virus, you quarantine. We've had state, you can't even travel right now to certain states, even if you've had no exposure, without quarantining by choice, just for precaution. In the one video, he talks about, I didn't want to be stuck in the White House. They told me to go upstairs and to...
And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, by the way. Like this weird honor system that we seem to have. Like, oh yeah, if you travel to a different state, you quarantine by choice for 2 weeks. No, people aren't going to do that. On the whole, people are going to not do that. Like, it's expensive to do that, and B, they can just not. Like, there's no repercussion other than maybe someone telling them that they're a bad person, which, I don't know, spending a week 2 weeks in a hotel, unable to go anywhere, versus spending 3 days to get some business done and go home. I don't know. I'm just saying that effective shutdowns would prevent stuff like this.
Quarantine, and he didn't want to do that. He wanted to be right out in front. So I just think it was a slap in the face to so many people who have dealt with this pandemic since, you know, the beginning of the year, and have not been able to say goodbye to loved ones, who have missed life events, who just stay at home now and don't go out, and it's because that's what the doctors told us. So to have him optically do this, it was selfish, but we know that vulnerability is his Achilles heel, and the most vulnerable you could be right now at this today is to have the virus that's sweeping the globe.
Yeah, it's a particularly, by the way, spot on political analysis from, I don't know who she is, I'm sorry. But Trump is a strong man, and the one thing strong men cannot do is look weak. And so, like, all of this theater that you're seeing around, oh, he's beaten the virus is no big deal, it is all theater to basically sell his image as a strongman, because that's basically all he has at this point, right? Like, if he loses, he's like $500 million in debt with no way to pay that back. And also probably facing down numerous criminal charges. And also, like, now he has this virus. So, like, Trump is in an awful, awful situation. The one thing he has is his projection of power, his core voter base, and the and this, sticking to his guns. But the problem is, how long can you keep up that image when you have a disease that, at this point, probably like a 7%, 7, 8, 9% chance of killing him, maybe 10%. Like, he's a 74-year-old man who's not in great health, who got coronavirus. So, I don't remember how old Herman Cain was. I thought, I would guess maybe 10 years younger than him. So I guess we'll see, but doesn't bode well for his strongman image.
Anna, what did you think about all of these plot twists over the weekend? I mean, did it make any sense?
Whoopi, I don't know how many Americans felt like I did, but I can tell you on Friday I felt a lot of sympathy. And when we saw the chopper that was going to airlift him on the South Lawn, my heart skipped a beat, because whether I like him or not, he's the president of the United States, and no normal human wants another human being to suffer
is she the
harm
Republican
or get
one
very, very sick
on The
or
View
die.
now?
But as we went through the weekend and I saw more video of him mocking Hillary Clinton when she had pneumonia in 2016, of these super spreader events that have been held in the White House, where now so many we know have gotten infected. When we learned about the hubris and arrogance of the Trump kids at that debate, who got asked by Cleveland Clinic representatives to wear a mask and refused to do so. And then when we saw him flaunt his privilege and go out on that motorcade. Look, my best friend's aunt, her Aunt Marion, died of COVID. My husband's son-in-law's father, 68-year-old Cesar, died of COVID. And let me tell you, they didn't get to leave the hospital. They were laying in hallways because there were no empty rooms where they could be. They had to say goodbye to their loved ones on FaceTime. Okay, many of them couldn't get plasma. It took days and days. They couldn't get remdesivir because there was a shortage in the worst times when that happened in places like Miami and New York. So the treatment he's getting at taxpayer expense is privileged treatment that the President of the United States receives. And for him to flaunt it by going out there like if he's Queen Elizabeth, waving from the motorcade and from the limousine, while so many sick people didn't get the same chance or the same treatment, didn't have 10 doctors in a team attending to his beck and call. Well, he is just so insensitive, and it angered me and angered me and angered me the more the weekend went by.
Based on a Navarro.
Well, I got to say the same thing. I was...
Also, I just have to add, Archangel the Cobb, of course you were talking about in Minecraft. I understand. But I do want to reiterate that it would probably be really bad politically for Trump to drop dead. So I really hope that doesn't happen. But anyway, the point here is that I thought that there was an insane Republican conservative on The View. I think I was thinking of Meghan McCain, who, like, throughout the last several years has, like, steadfastly provided crazy takes on The View. I'm kind of wondering, I guess she's not on The View anymore. Or if they got a similarly conservative person on here, it seems like everyone here has their heads screwed on right. Like, Ana Navarro kind of gave a shaky answer at first, like if you'd been paying attention, like, he's been awful the entire time, and, like, hypocritical and, like, super insensitive. But, like, okay, like, if you're finding that out for the first time, like, right now, welcome to the resistance, comrade.
I have the same sympathy that they exhibited for Kristen Yukase. She's the young lady that was at the Democratic convention, and she was very angry at you-know-who because she said, my father's only pre-existing condition was trusting you-know-who. And he was a factory worker.
Why is she saying you-know-who?
And believed him about the virus. And they mocked her. They mocked her. I guess he's forgotten. He says he gets it now. You can't possibly get it. You didn't go through it. Whatever you have or whatever you got, they got to you and they gave you everything you needed to do. But everybody else, the rest of the people of the United States of America, don't get to do what you do. They don't get to do what you do. And
they get a bill that's thousands of dollars
from this and continue to die from it. You just basically said to everybody, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can do, look at me, look at what I'm doing. But we're not you. Thank God.
Dang. Base takes. Look at Sam Cedar. So handsome. You know, I was thinking we would watch that and it would be very lolsy, but instead they just made great points, which made it a little bit of a boring watch. But you know what? That's okay. It's okay. I'm happy. I'm happy the View is less crazy than it was like a year ago.